Ladies and gents, and those on the fence, up next is the Burnout Test. Now, I don't work anymore, but I am going to take this test to the best of my knowledge and ability, as if this were a few years ago, towards the end of my career. Um, Even though I do know enough about burnout, hopefully I can pick up a few new things and also teach y'all some of the signs and symptoms so that you can either save yourself or help yourself, depending on your circumstances. Also, noted, this website, mindfulfounders.org, seems to be like the starting point, but going through these quizzes, it seems as though they're coming from Psychology Today, so the results and information post quiz are a reputable source that you can trust if you also want to take these tests. Anyway, the burnout test. I dread going to work each day. Towards the end, yes, it was very, very rough. I often don't really care what happens to my colleagues or customers. This one is going to be a hard disagree because the work that I was in was life or death situations, and so my colleagues and customers were either my lifeline or their own lifeline, and while some people are shitty people, I am not one of them, so I don't want the death part of life and death situations to be what they succumb to. So, hard disagree. That was a long-winded answer, but I feel like it needed explanation. I feel dissatisfied with my job more often than not. Agree. Starting a new project often feels pointless. Yes, especially towards the end of my career, I realized that the older generation of first responders still had a pretty good hold and influence on how things happened and the end results, how those were received and interpreted, and so starting a new project was pointless because until there is a changeover in the people, things are just never going to change. No matter how hard I work, I don't feel appreciated. Agree. Not because I have some sort of complex, but it was a literal, cold, hard fact. I cannot discuss it. Moving on. Having to interact with people at my job feels like a burden. Yes, because even though you go into the job of a first responder with the mindset that, like, yeah, some people are just not going to be nice people, some people are not going to be good people, but it's okay because the people that you work with will have your back. When the people that I work with didn't have my back, and I was going into a society that also didn't have my back, it felt like it was a burden because it was just so much of one thing. The work I do makes a real difference in the world. Now, I know what I have been saying so far, but I am going to say agree because the work that I did, even though it didn't change the world in the grand scheme of things, I do have distinct memories and things that have proven to me that I have quite literally saved people. And so it might not be the whole world, but I definitely have made a real difference in someone's world. Agree. Even normal work days leave me feeling completely mentally drained. There was no such thing as a normal work day. I'm proud of what I have accomplished over the course of my career. Yes, um, I had about a 12-year-long career as a first responder. I've worn all of the hats, and I was the first responder like me in the state of Massachusetts, and so I am very proud of the things that I did accomplish. It wasn't much, but it was enough. Even when work is tough, I'm able to stay upbeat. Um, yes, but only because I was masking, because it was a survival tactic. So we're gonna go in the middle there. I often feel incapable of handling the tasks required at my job. Um, I'm gonna put this in the middle because as a first responder, you are often your own boss. most of the time, maybe 85 to 90% of the time. If I didn't feel like I was capable of handling the tasks, I wouldn't have been able to do my job. So, it's hard to be there for my loved ones because I'm so drained by work. I was a shell of a person. I'm often dissatisfied with the quality of my work, but don't have the energy to improve it. Again, I was the shell of a person. Also going through grad school towards the end of my career. So there was a lot going on. The frustrations of my job have turned me into a cynical person. Um, at the time, the outlet, the out, the outlook was bleak. Whenever anyone asks me about my job, all I can do is complain. Um, yes, because towards the end, it was much easier to find the bad things than the good things. Being asked to take on a new task fills me with dread. Um, yeah, especially if I know it's not going to be appreciated. The pressures of my job feel impossible to manage. Yes, because again, you expect the world to not be in their best form, especially when 99% of the time you are meeting people in some of the worst days of their life. They have every excuse and reason to be upset and less than stellar. Um, but the pressures of your job become unmanageable when also the people that you work with are not supportive. So, hard agree. I often feel like a robot doing my job without thought. Again, some things had to be because a first responder, some things just needed to come second nature, muscle memory, what have you. I have control over how I spend my time at work. Literally now. I quickly feel overwhelmed when a new problem comes up at work. Yes. Score test. Many signs of burnout. Burnout test score. Your answer suggests that you are struggling to stay engaged and productive at work. You are battling feelings of exhaustion, cynicism, and work-related despair. That's dark. You may benefit from seeking help from a mental health professional. I have, and will continue to do so. Ladies and gents and those on the fence, stay safe, drink water, eat a snack.